What's up, YouTube? So before we get started with this video, on first take, they're going to be talking about Antonio Brown and will he be able to carry the Raiders? So let's see what they have to say about him.
Will AB be more of the problem or the solution for this Raider squad?
I think he's going to be more of a problem. That's just my personal opinion. And the reason I feel that way is because I don't think his talent is going to be enough for them to win. And as a result, he's going to have to find other means in order to keep himself relevant. Obviously, they're about to make a move to Las Vegas. We understand he's the star of the team. We understand he's an all-world receiver, and he's put up the likes of which we've rarely seen in NFL history. There is no question about that. But it's not just about his talent. Obviously, to him, it's about his brand. It's about his notoriety and what have you. It's not even just about the money. He's got $30 million in guaranteed dollars. But when you look at the Oakland Raiders, who were 4-12 last year, even though Derek Carr is a guy that's completed his highest completion percentage under Jon Gruden last year with about 68.9%, threw for 4,000 yards, which was also a career best for him. He only threw about 19 touchdowns. He had about 10 interceptions, and it was relatively pedestrian compared to what we had grown to expect from him.
So I think that Antonio Brown, I think he's going to have his diva-ish issues throughout the year, but I think he's definitely going to be able to produce. Will it be enough for him to really put the Oakland Raiders above and beyond and get them to a Super Bowl? I don't think so, because he's only a wide receiver. He can only do so much. But I do think he is going to produce. So last year he was ninth in receptions. He was 11th in reception yards, and he was number 1 in touchdowns. He had 15 touchdowns, and next closest to him had 13 touchdowns. So I think Antonio Brown is definitely going to produce. And I think once the season starts, he's going to settle in and get back to being the baller that he is. Again, he's going to have his diva moments, but I think he's definitely going to be able to pull his weight. Now, like I said, I don't know if he's going to be able to do it all and get them, to the playoffs or anything like that. But I think he's going to be able to pull his weight at least while having diva moments. So let's continue.
You've got to wonder whether or not that chemistry is going to be developed, whether or not he and Antonio Brown are going to be able to vibe. And more importantly than that, you also have to look at the AFC West. The Kansas City Chiefs are better. The Los Angeles Chargers are better. The Denver Broncos, with the acquisition of Vic Fangio as their head coach, obviously a defensive-minded guy. Plus, you've got a serviceable quarterback, at the very least, in Joe Flacco. You've got to believe they've got a chance to be better than the Oakland Raiders. And so when you take all of those things into consideration, you're wondering what's going to happen to the Raiders in terms of wins and losses. The likelihood is that they'll lose more than they win. And if that happens, what will Antonio Brown be like then? I would remind you, Max Kellerman, last year when the Steelers started off slow and he was making a bunch of noise, what was his rationale for that? He said, man, I just want to win. I can't stand losing. And I'm paraphrasing here, not quoting him directly, but what he was saying is that when I'm not winning, I'm not happy, and all bets are off. And so unless we're expecting the Oakland Raiders to win, how can we expect anything great from Antonio Brown?
I don't expect.
So Antonio Brown, like I said, he's a baller. Everybody knows he's a baller. He's going to put in work on the field. That's not really an issue. His issue is being a diva and everything that goes along with that. So I think definitely he's going to put in work and do what he's known to do. As far as, like I said, the Raiders, he can't do it all. He's only a receiver, so he can't do it all. And it doesn't help, like Stephen A. Smith said, they play in the AFC. The AFC is a tough division. Kansas City is going to be a bunch of ballers. The LA Chargers are going to be a bunch of ballers. Denver's probably going to be able to put in work more than the Oakland Raiders. So I don't necessarily know if the expectations are all on Antonio Brown to get them to do everything, to get them to the playoffs and to get them to win a Super Bowl. I don't think that's what the expectations are. I think that they're moving in the right direction of stacking their team. And Antonio Brown's a great start to stacking their team before they move to Las Vegas. So I don't think it's in the expectations of them to be making the playoffs and going to Super Bowl and all that. I don't think that's what people really are expecting from them, especially they don't have that many weapons. And Chucky's rebuilding. So I don't know. Let's continue.
To win very much. I'll tell you someone who does, Louis Riddick, who was on this show predicting they make the playoffs, if memory serves, a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So there are those who think, credible sources who think, or people in the business who think, no, the Raiders are really, as you would say, Stephen A., on the come up. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. But you know what? When you say, is a guy going to be more of a problem or more of a solution? I don't think you can just write off, you say, well, they're not going to make the playoffs, so he's just not part of the solution. Because he can still contribute to wins. In other words, with or without him, are you better or worse? With Antonio Brown, they're going to be better. Let me point to several receivers in the not too distant past who were all-world talents, putting up all-world numbers, and sometimes would create distractions off the field or otherwise be criticized by the media, taking plays off or getting into trouble off the field even. But when they were on teams, those teams got better. Well, I mean, Randy Moss comes to mind. Oh, Randy Moss takes plays off, except when he went to the Patriots, they went undefeated, right? Largely because they had an unstoppable offensive weapon in Randy Moss. Plexico Burress, Stephen A., first he wins the Super Bowl, then he literally shoots himself in the foot, and he's off the team, and the Giants fail to make a playoff run that they were anticipated to make. When you haven't, now those are playoff caliber teams. If the Raiders aren't playoff caliber, it's not going to be because of Antonio Brown. When I talk about Sharp Analytics, Warren Sharp, who I highly recommend on Twitter. I think he has the best stuff out there. But he had a graph, maybe going back a week or so, something like that, showing where Derek Carr likes to throw the ball is where Antonio Brown likes to catch it. When you have a guy putting up Jerry Rice numbers, and he likes to catch it where the quarterback likes to throw it, and you want to find out about the quarterback, if the Raiders don't have a good season, it will not be because Antonio Brown. He will contribute to their winning once on the field.
Max.
So I definitely have to agree with Max there. Antonio Brown, he's definitely going to do his thing, and he's going to complement Derek Carr. Actually, they're going to complement each other. But again, Antonio Brown's only one player. He can't do it all. So he's definitely going to be a huge contributor to the system, but he's only one man. He can't do it all. But I'm kind of suspecting that the Oakland Raiders aren't expecting to be making it to the playoffs or make a deep run or go to the Super Bowl. Because like I said, they're playing a tough AFC that is just stacked. The Raiders are trying to rebuild and trying to stack their talent. So by the time they get to the Las Vegas, they hit the ground running. So I don't think that's really in the cards for them, the expectations of them to just be putting in work and just, making deep runs in the playoffs. And as far as what Stephen A. Smith said earlier in the video about, Antonio Brown, he likes to win. And when he's not winning, all bets are off. When it's not unique to him. Nobody likes to lose. Everybody likes to win. So that's nothing unique about Antonio Brown. Oh, he hates to lose and he loves to win. There's nothing special about that. So let's continue.
Let me throw the Oakland Raiders schedule at you, and I want to listen to everything that you just said. I have this schedule in front of me, Max Kellerman. Let me give you the first 7 games of the 2019 NFL season for the Oakland Raiders. Denver, Kansas City,
hold this L,
at Minnesota, at Indy, Chicago, in London, Khalil Mack and the crew. Khalil Mack gets to face them for the first time.
But London, that's a wild card.
Yeah. But Khalil Mack and that defense, Khalil Mack going against them for the first time. At Green Bay and at Houston. I mean, they might be 1-6. They might be 1-6.
I can see 2 or 3 wins in there.
Can I add to that, you guys? It's the toughest schedule based on strength of schedule, and Stephen A. just brought up the travel. They're traveling more than any other team, over 30,000 miles. That's more than the Bills, Giants, and Jets combined. Jon Gruden gets claustrophobic on planes and gets vertigo when he flies.
To Stephen A's point,
it can't get any worse from them from the schedule perspective, travel, or just the difficulty.
Yeah, to Stephen A's point, if you want to argue, Stephen A., that because they won't be winning a lot, Antonio Brown will be unhappy, it will exacerbate whatever personality problems that are on display now in the offseason or in training camp, and therefore he will be a detriment to the team. I think that's your strongest argument.
That is my argument.
But
that is my argument, because I'm certainly not questioning anything about his greatness as a talent and as a wide receiver. My 2 things that I'm focusing on is exactly what you just eliminated. And number 2, Derek Carr is not Big Ben. And I think...
Yeah, but I'm thinking that even if they don't do good, they don't make the playoffs and make a deep run, I think as long as Antonio Brown gets he has a good season, he's caught a lot of touchdowns, and, he has a good individual season, I think he'll be okay. I don't think he'll act up too much if he gets his, because he'll feel like he's contributing and he's living up to all the hype of what he is. But if, things don't work out, he's not getting the ball, things they're losing, then he might start acting up. But I think Antonio Brown will be okay if he gets his and he has a good individual year. Yeah, I definitely think that. So let's continue.
The combination of those two things can elevate the level of frustration, and obviously could potentially quicken the whole process of a meltdown.
And the
that
Raiders
is what I'm fearful of with Antonio Brown in an Oakland Raiders uniform.
And the Raiders are not as pass-happy as Pittsburgh, one of the most pass-happy teams. But I still think in order to really stand behind your argument, you have to be willing to say that the Raiders would be better without Antonio Brown. Then he's part of the problem.
There's no way the Raiders will be better without Antonio Brown. No matter what, he's an addition. Even if it's a diva, he's out of control, whatever situation is, when he's on the field, he's going to put in work. He's known to put in work. That's never really an issue of him putting in work on the field. Now, off the field is a different issue with him being a diva and all that. But like I said, if Antonio Brown has a good individual year, I think he'll be okay because he feels like he's contributing. He's doing everything he can, and things just aren't working out. Like I said, the expectations aren't necessarily that high for the Oakland Raiders, for the simple fact that they're trying to rebuild. They play in a tough AFC West division, and they're just trying to rebuild. So as long as he gets his, I think he should be okay. I don't make it seem like he's selfish, but I think he'll be okay. So let's continue.
Think that they're going to be that they'd be better without him on the field?
No, because I'm not making the argument that they're better without him on the field, because obviously he's an extremely talented player. He's arguably the best wide receiver in football.
What I'm part of the solution.
What I'm saying is that I don't believe that he ultimately will be part of the solution, because I believe in spite of him, they're going to lose early. And as a result, he's going to